guys, I'm Chad with Take One Film and Video, and we're here in our shop today with Jason Kress, who's our Vice President of System Integration. How's it going, Jason?
Excellent.
All right, well, we're here with a kind of a unique system. There's basically like three types of production systems. You got studios, which are pretty self-explanatory. It's all permanently installed. You run cables through conduit, you put everything in, and it always operates from that position.
Yep.
And then you get mobile broadcasting, which is really where our background is. And mobile broadcasting, of course, everything is built into a truck and it's rolled up on site like sports, broadcast, entertainment. It's all self-included, rolls up, and it's all made to be enclosed in that unit.
Yep.
And then there's actually a third one that's similar, but it's the Flypacks. Guys that are doing, music, conferences, anything that has to roll inside a venue, they'll typically have what's called Flypacks. And that's basically similar to the mobile, except they're usually compartmentalized.
Yep.
And you'll have your racks that are pre-wired, and you hook everything up. It's kind of a studio in a box, I guess, for lack of a better term. So we were approached by a customer that had this system, which is kind of unique because it's sort of a hybrid, kind of a hybrid system. And so it's half permanent install and half Flypacks.
Yep.
And so I'm going to ask you, you can get into some of the things about the reasoning there, but from what I understand, this is something where they're going to be doing a lot of these conferences and entertainment, music type of events, where the audio is already going to be on site. They're probably going to be in an arena.
Yep.
There'll be a sound company, and so they'll take audio feeds into their system. So the audio portion is going to stay permanently installed, correct?
Correct. Yep, that is correct.
Okay.
So the with this, that is exactly correct. The audio stays on site at the facility where this is all going to be housed on a semi-permanent basis and then taken out in the field. So we had to develop something that would be able to just be easily hooked in and out when they bring the Flypack back in.
Okay. Well, what we're going to do is just kind of take you guys on a tour on how that works, and we just started this over here. And what this system right here is going to be permanently installed, part of the permanent portion, and there's some cable here that matches what goes to the Flypack. So explain to us kind of how this all ties in.
So we wanted to do, so in the field, the Flypack is pretty easy to set up. When you're out there, you've got color-coded cables. You can probably set this thing up in 35, 40 minutes just connecting things, not checking cameras, but just connecting things. We wanted to have a similar situation permanently. So what we wanted to do, we wanted to have a place to house the permanent gear that eventually, if they decide to migrate some of the Flypack that maybe it's going to stay out all the time, they might want to start adding permanent gear. So we wanted to give them plenty of room to add permanent gear, but in the meantime, we wanted an easy way for them to still unhook their Flypack and take it back out, so they're not in the rack very much. It's not much different than what they would do in the field. So that we've got here, this stuff is all wired to these patch bays. From the patch bays, it's just going to be looms out to the back of the Flypack, where the Flypack engineering rack will sit by this rack on the permanent install, and so it's going to be an easy hookup. This will go to the control room. Okay. So in a Flypack situation, you've got everybody kind of sitting together. This is now going to be a room apart. So this rack is the other end of all this. So from these patch bays to these patch bays, make a path. Then from these patch bays out the looms back to the engineering rack completes the path. That way they just wheel it in by this rack, undo the umbilical cords, plug them in, and they're ready to go.
And the most important thing about this is there's room to grow.
Yes.
Like I know that they have a plan right now, but you're making a big investment.
Yes.
And it's no fun to spend a lot of money and then be completely maxed out.
Exactly.
From day one.
Exactly.
Right. And so we built all of our systems to hopefully accommodate some room for growth, and we always encourage that too. So let's walk over to the audio console and take a look. So Yamaha TF5. Now I'm not familiar with this console here. This is going to be, of course, permanently installed in a studio type environment.
Yes.
So what is it about the TF5?
Well, the client's need for this one was, one of the big things is Dante. So our broadcast system is actually interfacing with a whole AV setup as well within the facility.
Okay.
So they've got some other rooms where they're going to want to possibly shoot video and record audio as well. So they wanted something that was that had Dante, but very price conscious. They didn't need a whole big mixing board to do a lot. They're not going to be mixing out full bands and everything like that. So the TF5 was a perfect fit to handle the Dante, plenty of inputs, If they do small music things, they could still mix on that. So it was a good fit for them.
And Dante, of course, is just a digital protocol to move audio back and forth, right?
Correct.
So
yes.
you don't have to be brand specific. Like, for instance, there doesn't have to be a Yamaha on the other end
right.
of the Dante network.
Yep.
It could be anything. So Dante allows that to share
yep.
across platforms,
yep.
basically.
And huge amount of future growth with that. So just like you said, they can use Dante anywhere they have a network connection, typically in that building, they could get audio to and from, and that gives them plenty of room to grow.
Yeah. And of course, back here we've got some furniture, and of course there'll be a custom table that comes out of here, and rack room to grow outboard gear, anything that they want to put can live here.
So another cool thing with the Dante is these TO boxes from Yamaha.
Okay.
So really this is the I/O of the console. Instead of using the physical back of it, we've racked this here. This rack will be in the same room, but it just allows a simple CAT cable over to the TF5. So all the ins and outs are done with here, right up to this patch bay. So we've got lines all over the facility that can come in either analog and go in, or can come in Dante and go in. So they have the ultimate flexibility in being able to go anywhere in the building.
So the TOs are basically an A to D
exactly.
into Dante?
Yes,
okay.
into Dante, yep. And it's inputs and outputs, so everything is patched through there, and they can send stuff back to the studio, back to conference rooms, anything.
Okay.
Complete flexibility.
And that's cool. And this is, I guess, a Dante switch up here, which you can
yep.
share. And it all runs over like a traditional network, RJ45,
yes,
Cat6 cable.
Yeah, so these patch points will eventually be other facility ties, so they can tie Dante directly through this patch bay, through the switch, talk to the console.
Okay.
Yep.
Lots of flexibility.
Lots of flexibility.
Okay. Well, moving on over here, we're getting into the Flypack portion. And these cases are really cool, made by Bigfoot Systems out of California, which we really discovered this year at NAB. They're a fantastic company. This was our first time with these guys, and I have to say I'm quite impressed. And they have some really good, robust systems. I like the big wheels, which kind of gives you a little more, I'm not going to call it off-road capability, but it gives you a little more flexibility coming on and off trucks, rolling into venues with carpet and so forth. If you've ever used the small casters on the small Flypacks, they can be a little bit
fun to
cumbersome.
push.
No fun to push. Now, we did a little bit of custom work on these, but this is basically the video rack. And so we're controlling our camera CCUs, video control, and then the video operator is really kind of the only person that sits here, and I guess this is some empty workspace for an additional person that wants to do whatever they need to do. But essentially, this is video control, and so you have your video scope, obviously, from your technical evaluation of the video signal, CCUs, and again, room for growth.
Yes.
This one has additional space for a 5th RCP if they wanted to go that route. And then, of course, the routing is conveniently located there for the video guy to be able to switch. And if you pop there, a video guy, you can actually go through that. He's got his own routable monitor up here, so he can pick the camera feed that he wants, see the camera, see it on the scope, and shade video. And of course, he's got his status monitors there too. The thing that's cool about this case is everything kind of just rides here. These just fold down like this. The top comes down, and then the sides are actually, if you're used to Flypacks, you got those big old heavy things. These are just lightweight, little thin pieces of wood that, well, I don't make it sound like it's it's not weak. They're very durable.
Very strong. It's a composite material that it will bend way before it breaks. It can't really scratch because it's a solid piece, so you're not ever scratching or breaking into a laminate that could crack and then expose the wood underneath. So these are going to be very robust, and these guys understand production. So they do all these custom. They really are able to work with us. We kind of laid out what we wanted to do. They have all the ideas to make it work well and ergonomically, giving these even these side panels that flip up, those flip down, they flip up for extra workspace. Because we all know that when we're out in the field, there's somebody that's going to show up with a laptop that needs to sit somewhere.
Exactly.
And this is a great use of that.
And if you don't need them, you can fold them down. They're out of the way, and these can all join together. You get flexibility.
And these, obviously setup time, wanting to make it, as quick as possible, less plugging in as possible. So we really tried to think ahead to make it like, how quick can we set this up and have everything at the same time ride safely.
Now we added a few custom things here for the RCPs to be able to work at kind of an incline level, because when you're sitting there, you can have a little bit more visible access to it.
Yep.
It's a little more ergonomic and it's comfortable for the operator.
Yep.
And so if we want to move over here,
Sure.
we did something very similar. Now this is the main production rack.
Right.
They went with the Sony 3000s, 2ME switcher, and as you can see, the multi-viewer is built into the lid. Now it's kind of a popular thing, but this makes things so much easier.
Yes.
You're talking about setup, tear down. It's built in here. You don't have to take it out, set it in there. You just close the lid, open it, and there you go. So, and I'm going to jump over here off the Flypacks for a second, just talk about the cameras. And this is an interesting topic. These are the HSC 100s. These cameras have been around for a while, but they're really solid camera. They're very popular. They're 1080, 720 optional, but they're good workhorses and tried and true. But what's interesting about it, it's 2017, and there's Tri-X on here.
Right.
And some people are like, why would you use Tri-X? Well, the truth is that, yeah, with HD and 4K coming and everything, fiber is truly the way that technology is going. However, in a practical world, sometimes you still have to interface in buildings that have legacy gear like Tri-X, or especially arenas. If you are doing broadcast sports and so forth, you know that if you pull into an arena, they may or may not have fiber, but 9 times out of 10 or 99 out of 100, there's going to be Tri-X in there. So let's move on to the final rack over here. We can call this engineering rack, I'm assuming. Now, I'll have you get into this in a second, but I do want to talk about patch bays. Patch bays, we hear sometimes that people say, well, you have routers. The routers do everything you need.
Right.
Patch bays, they take up space, a lot of cabling. Why do you do it? Well, I guess when you, after so many years in the business, you know it's not a question of if, it's a question of when something's going to fail.
That's right.
It doesn't matter how much money you spend. It doesn't matter what the brand name is.
Yep.
Gear just fails. It eventually will take a power hit or something. Something's going to happen eventually. So if your production is at the level where it's critical, that perhaps it's live or you don't have chances to do other takes, we always put patch bays in our system. And I wanted to mention that. Now the good thing is that the router does take care of all that workload. And so 99% of the time, hopefully forever, this is clean. There's no patch cables just hanging in there all the time. Basically, all the guts for everything, including this is the router, and this is a, what, a 64 squared router?
Yes.
Or, okay. And then you have...
Actually, it's 72.
Oh, 72 squared.
72,
And the Sony 3000 head is there. And up here, we've got our KeyPro Ultra Pluses, which are really cool if you haven't seen those. Of course, they're designed for 4K quad link records, but you can also, with the Plus version, and I didn't know the difference between this, but there's a KeyPro Ultra and a KeyPro Ultra Plus. The Plus allows 4 independent HD records. So finally, the last part is just, what does it look like in the back? And so we can move back there and take a look. So the back here is where all the guts is, and you know, I have to say, this is almost like a work of art.
It is.
We've got really good engineers here at Take One, and that really take good pride in their work. And this truly is like a work of art. And it's not just there to look good. It's incredibly practical too. If you'll notice, the detail is that every cable has its own label. And that label corresponds with a printout that we provide with our systems. It's a drawing, it's part of a design, it's part of the background process that we use to kind of build the whole thing on paper first, and then it goes into this part of it. So really you can see the product of it there. But you know, there's a little slack here for service loops. If you had to take something out to service it, there's a little room to actually pull it out. Everything's not tight and snug. Is that?
That's the case. In here it's kind of that cross between, we've got a limited space, so we don't have a lot of room for extra cable, but still you need the extra cable to be able to move something out or possibly move something in the future. The worst thing is when you have to just move something for whatever reason and you don't have the cable. So once again, the engineer who did this just does a great job about allowing that kind of flexibility, but making it so neat that everything's dressed under there. The labels help with troubleshooting. The reality is, no matter how good a system, you're going to be looking for something at some point in time, trying to find a cable and what does it do and why something might not be working at a moment. So that is all, like you said, super practical.
Yes, absolutely. And now this is the actual usable portion. This is where the engineers are going to be tying the system together. And you know, I've been on the back end of these Flypacks in the past, and sometimes it's a head scratcher. You're actually digging in through the system to try to find out where a cable goes. We really made that simple, and you know, it's almost bulletproof. We have colors and numbers Each one is sequential, 1 through 4, with each color. You can almost come in here and not even read what's written on here and just plug everything in, knowing that it's going to be right. And the purpose of that is not to dumb it down necessarily, but it makes things just easier. When you're in a hurry, you have a limited amount of time, you don't have to put a lot of thought into, am I putting this cable where it's supposed to go?
Usually these setups are, usually have enough stress of their own on other areas of getting in. A lot of times you don't have a lot of time to set up. So that was the thought process. Get it so you can just, as long as I've got these in order, color-coded and numbered, I know I'm good. Obviously we still put the label on there because we want to have the more detailed information if we need it. But for the general setup, we want it to be quick. We want it to be able to be done, seamlessly every time.
Okay. And these power, tell us about the power that goes along here.
So we used what they call a PowerCon. It's a Neutrik device. One of the biggest thing, obviously, losing power to the rack. You've got UPS backup. However, it's easy to kick a cable out, a normal Edison out. So we did two things. One, we wanted a secure connection. So that was what the PowerCon offers. Second, we decided to use a different color code for that because power, we just want to make sure it's separated when you got a bunch of cables back here. As you know, we don't have a lot of cables between these racks, but depending on what your site you're going into, there's suddenly a bunch of other cables around, and you can always ID your cables easily that, hey, those are my power, and are they working? So the other end's got the glow, so we know we're getting juice, and and keeps it secure.
And then moving on down there, basically it's very similar. It's the other end of this connection, and of course your triaxes have their own I/O as well, so you don't have to actually snake your hand down into the racks. You can actually just plug them in. Nice and easy, and flexibility moving into the future. And there's so many unknowns with the way that production is going to go with 4K. What's the next big thing? Having that flexibility makes your investment again worthwhile. Well, thanks for taking the time to show us this. I think the important thing that we want to let everyone know as far as how we approach things at Take One. This system was basically built from the ground up, talking with a customer, figuring out what their needs are, and as you said, there's some existing things that they wanted to tie in with and be able to have intercompatibility. All those things go into a custom built from the ground up. We don't really have templates like, oh, this is what you're getting. We're building everything specifically for the client. Every client has their own workflows, the way they like to do things. All those things are taken into consideration with all the Take One projects. So if you have any questions or want to learn more about Take One and the work we do, or have Jason talk to you about your system, maybe your particular needs, maybe a new project that you're looking to get into, give us a call at 1-877-81-TAKE-ONE. You can also email us at mail@takeone.tv. Well, thanks for joining us. We'll see you soon.